A lot of people say put your customer first, and I actually don't. I put the labor first. I've always liked working. I've always liked the idea of working for myself, but working for yourself isn't quite being an entrepreneur. To be an entrepreneur, you need to really develop those systems and be able to build a team and lead others and do something larger than just simply working for yourself. All right, so there I was, 14 years old, scraping paint off a siding. In the winter, it's like 40 degrees outside. Just a little bit of snow melting in the distance. But I'm scraping, I've got my gloves on, I've got one of the larger scrapers. There's scrapers that like have a handle on both. You got the handle and you got like this knob that's another handle, so you can really put the pressure on it and rip that paint right off the siding. There I was doing that, getting paid $8 an hour by my dad, who had his own painting company when I was 14 years old, and I would help him out here and there on the weekends, as was the case with this winter, and also in the summers I'd help him out. Really, it was just kind of like a year and a half or so, but it wasn't a very long period of time, but I did help him do that. And I remember scraping the paint off the siding, and I knew at that moment I was an entrepreneur. And I look back at that moment because I think most 14-year-old kids would have been just, not having a good time. But here I am doing man's labor, and I actually like scraping paint. But the thoughts that went through my head is, well, I know my dad charges, and this was quite a long time ago, but I know my dad charges about $30 an hour, and he's only paying me $8.
What if I can't pay nothing?
So maybe I should start my own painting company. And I'll hire a bunch of my friends, and I'll pay them $8 an hour. Obviously, with inflation, things have changed. But I did have that entrepreneurial mind. And I remember literally in my head at that time, I was like, well, then I could get like a van or two, and I could have a whole bunch of people scraping a whole bunch of houses, painting a whole bunch of houses, and make a lot of money. And I kind of did the math in my head of how I could build a little painting empire when I was only 14 years old, while I was just taking that paint and scraping all the way down to that bare wood, just doing quality work for the customer. And I knew that I could recruit a team to do the same thing and work for me. Fast forward, my dad, he moved on in his career to do something else. And then I finished up high school, and then I went to Bible college. And during Bible college, I would take my dad's old painting gear and I would go and paint homes for people I knew, and kind of did it as a side hustle. And so I started out as a tradesman, right? I wasn't really fully an entrepreneur. I was a tradesman, and I worked for myself, and I was self-employed. It started out as a side hustle, then it started out as an actual company with me painting homes and sometimes hiring friends. But that entrepreneurial mindset of scaling and of growth and of how to kind of tier things up and build a team, I think I had that ever since I was 14 years old, maybe even younger. I actually remember, I think I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I did a paper route when I was 11 and 12 years old. Actually, when I was living in Australia, I had to fold up all this junk mail, rubber band it, and then go and put it in people's mailboxes, or sometimes I got to throw it at the house, but most of the neighbors I had to put it in the mailbox. My point is, I've always liked working. I've always liked the idea of working for myself, but working for yourself isn't quite being an entrepreneur. To be an entrepreneur, you need to really develop those systems and be able to build a team and lead others and do something larger than just simply working for yourself. I think working for yourself is a great first step, though. I don't want to undermine that at all. Like, if you have a service to offer and you can quit your job and go offer that service to somebody, that's a phenomenal thing to do. But for you to become like a full-fledged entrepreneur and really grow and scale a business, you got to start working on the systems and the procedures so that other people can do the work just as well as you do. If you quit your job, I really think the best place to start, if you're looking to start a business, is in some sort of service. It could be in home services, it could be in other sectors, but a service that you can sell people, so you sell your time to people for money. That's what business is, especially service businesses. And then you eventually hire people and sell their time. which I think it's a way easier business to start, especially if you don't have any money to invest. Service is the best way, because what you do have is your time, and you can sell your time. Starting a business that's in products normally involves R&D. You have to pay for the products up front. Then you have to go market them and sell them. It takes way more of an investment. So if you want to be a business owner and you have no money, the absolute best place to start is services, because you can sell your time, which you have unlimited amounts of if you quit your job. All right, tradesmen out there running your own business, please leave me a comment. Let me know what your experience is. Let me know the lessons that you've learned. Young entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs, tell me the lessons that you're learning right now. Comment with those. Or if you just have a hesitation, like you want to go out and do it, but you're scared, there's something that's holding you back, leave a comment. I'll reply. I want to talk to you. I want to hear your story, and I want to see if I can encourage you to take that leap of faith and take that step for yourself. And I really do believe that you won't regret it. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you so much.